Deathgivers. Deathgivers are PvP-oriented weapon. They are used in Mist, Corrupted Dungeons, ganking and 2 version 2 Hellgates. Let's start with the Q skills for Deathgivers. First Q, Thunder Armor. Dealing damage to the targeted enemy and applies Thunder Armor charge, which decreases damage resistance. Stacks up to 3 times. Can be used against slow melee opponents. This Q deals high single target damage and has a short cooldown, but it doesn't provide mobility. It's best used when you're confident you won't need to escape. Second Q, Deadly Swipe. Leap 5 meters forward, dealing damage to all enemies within a 3-meter radius. Grants an Assassin Spirit charge for each enemy hit. Hitting at least one enemy restores some energy. This Q I recommend in most cases, because it provides good mobility. However, it consumes a lot of energy, especially if you miss your target. Also, if you miss, you may lose Assassin Spirit stacks. Third Q, Assassin Spirit. Generates 1 Assassin Spirit charge every 2.5 seconds. Can be used for a one-shot on Deathgivers, but is unlikely to work against strong opponents. Once you have 3 charges, you can use Deathgivers E ability twice in a row. This is mainly useful for ganking. W skills. First W, Thrown Blades. Throws 3 blades in a cone, dealing damage to all enemies hit. Increases movement speed and damage for each enemy hit. Stacks up to 3 times. This ability is rarely used on Deathgivers, as the other W skills are much more effective. Second W, Dash. You dash towards the targeted position and increases all damage you deal by 15% for 4 seconds. The cooldown of this skill depends on the weapon's item power. This skill provides great mobility, allowing you to chase or escape. I recommend this ability for mists. Third W, Forbidden Step. Deals damage, interrupts spellcasting and prevents the target from receiving healing for 1.5 seconds. Useful in Hellgates and do mists against healers. Fourth W, Shadow Age. Throws a dagger up to 22 meters. If it hits a target, it stuns enemy and teleports you behind him. Looks like upgraded version of Dash, but this ability you don't want to miss. Against fire staff users, it's highly recommended to use Shadow Age to jump over Wall of Flames. Fifth W, Chain Slash. Charge toward the targeted enemy, hitting the target and then charging to the closest enemy within 6 meters of the enemy you hit last. Turns you invisible and grants immunity to damage while charging. This skill is viable for PvE, but for PvP, Dash and Shadow Age are more reliable due to their good mobility. However, Chain Slash can be useful in PvP against certain opponents like Carving Sword or Cursed Staff, as the invulnerability during charges can help dodge their E abilities. For beginners, I recommend Dash or Shadow Age. E ability, Ghost Strike. Charge through the targeted enemy, dealing damage and turns you invisible for 1 second. Also reduces energy cost by 15% for 3 seconds. If the target has 3 Thunder Armor charges or you have 3 Assassin Spirit charges, the ability doesn't go on cooldown, but consumes all charges you have applied. First passive, every 4th auto attack inflict a bleed on the target enemy. It's the most popular passive for the Deathgivers. Second passive, each auto attack steals 15% of the damage dealt as health. Third passive, every 5th auto attack increases your auto attack speed for 5 seconds. Fourth passive, every 4th auto attack increases your damage by 6% for 3 seconds. All passives are viable for Deathgivers and can be chosen based on personal preferences, except for the 4th one, which is only useful for ganking or one-shot builds. Build for the Mists. An optimal build will cost around 500 to 700,000. Fiend Scowl. Purge removes all buffs from the enemy. The Fiend Scowl has homing ability. Mainly you need to purge speed buffs, so the enemy can't run away. Or Helmet of Valor with Purifying Smoke. Removes all negative effect from allies in a 4-meter radius and all buffs from enemies. Unlike the Fiend Scowl, the Helmet of Valor can reveal invisible enemies. You can also use Stalker Hood, which increases damage by 15% for 4 seconds and reveals invisible enemies in a 6-meter radius, and if the enemy has less than half HP, their resistance to damage is reduced. The Stalker Hood massively increases your damage. You stack up 3 Assassin's Spear recharges. Use E, then stack 3 more, and repeat until the opponent's health drops below 15%. When the enemy has less than half HP left, ideally you should have 3 Assassin Spirit stack ready. You activate Stalker Hood near them and then use E twice. Mistwalker Jacket. Turn into a cloud with a 7-meter radius, giving you immunity to damage and all effects. The skill lasts up to 5 seconds, but you can deactivate it earlier. If you attack or use an ability, you will be revealed. You can use it to wait out strong enemy skills. And sandals with a blue sprint to restore some mana. Undead Cape, turning you invisible when health drops below 15%. Avalonian Cape or Deadford Cape. Triggers on auto attacks and deals additional damage. From consumables, Spear Mist Snapper for lifesteal and bonus max HP. Health Potion and Giant Potions. And for Doom Mists, also cleansing potions against one-shot builds. Build for corrupted dungeons. An optimal build will cost around 400,000. Fiend's Cowl, Hunter Hood or Cultist Cowl. Hunter Hood Retaliate increases your damage resistance and reflects 85% of incoming damage for 3 seconds. Cultist Cowl deals periodic damage to the targeted enemy when they auto-attack or use a skill. Mistwalker Jacket or Mercenary Jacket. Mercenary Jacket. Bloodlust gives lifesteal for 6 seconds. If the opponent runs away and you need to heal, you can lifesteal from mobs. Or if the opponent has a helmet which purges your Mercenary Jacket effect, then the only way to use the jacket is to run away from opponent and lifesteal from mobs. Any sandals to restore some mana. Avalonian Cape for damage. From consumables, Spear Mist Snapper, Health Potion and Giant Potions. A build for 2 version 2 Hellgates. Approximate cost 500,000. Stalker Hood for damage. Robe of Purity. Energy emission surrounds you with a shield that knocks back enemies who touch you by 12 meters and make you immune to forced movement effect. Use it to push a damage dealer away when their HP is low, so their healer can't heal him in time. Cultist Sandals. Rotting ground leaves a trail behind you that reduces enemies' damage resistance and decreases healing received when they step on it. Avalon Cape for damage. From consumables, Beef Stew and Poison Potion. Build for gank. Stalker Hood or Fiend's Cowl. Assassin Jacket. Ambush grants invisibility for 7 seconds and increases your damage by 4% for every 0.5 seconds you stay invisible. As soon as the Gankers spot the enemy's name on the edge of the screen, they immediately go invisible and wait for the target to get closer to quick engage. Royal Sandals. Increases movement speed and damage dealt. Undead Cape. From consumables, Beef Stew, Poison and Invisibility Potions. Pros and cons. This one of the strongest weapon in close fight. Has a good mobility. Performs well in solo and duo PvP. From cons, this weapon not popular in PvE. Can be played in 2 version 2 Hellgates, but currently in the Hellgate meta they are outshined by the Hellspawn stuff. That's all, thanks for watching.